Hi, this is Kim Constable, CEO and founder of the Work at Home Mums Network, and I am very excited to present this interview to you today. It is with a work at home mum that I have followed and admired for a long time, and ever since I got the idea to start the Work at Home Mums Network, I pursued her, I emailed her, I hunted her down, and she finally agreed to do an interview with me today. And it's about a topic that's very, very close to my own heart, being a linguist and believing in the importance of languages for children. And Laura Berg, hello Laura, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Wonderful. Laura runs a company called My Smart Hands, which you can find at mysmarthands.com, and it's a baby sign language company. Now, Laura's company is phenomenal. Her videos on YouTube have had over 23 million views. Is that right, Laura?
Yeah, it's actually approaching 23 million. Yeah.
Wow, that is absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, I'm so excited to have you here today. And I know that we've built up this kind of email relationship where we've been, trying to interview and then hasn't been happening. And finally, we got here today. And thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us.
That's my pleasure.
Wonderful. So Laura, can you just, without further ado, tell me a little bit, or tell all of our members a little bit about your company, how it started, your family, your business. Just give us kind of the Laura Berg and the My Smart Hands in a nutshell.
Well, I think I'm like most work-at-home moms who start a business, and I started it because I had a kid. I wanted to stay at home with her. I was a teacher before I started my business, and we actually had infertility issues, so it took me 3 years to conceive our daughter.
Wow.
And so when we finally did conceive, I was like, I'm not going back to work.
Right.
I'm staying home with this little thing that I finally got.
Right.
And but the reality of living in a big city means that you have to have two incomes, and I couldn't just full on quit my job, and so I had to think of a business idea. And with my teaching background, and I had taken ASL classes, and I actually used it in my classroom for literacy purposes. So I was already familiar with the concept of baby sign language, and I knew when I had my daughter that I would sign with her. And when I was sort of exploring business ideas, I thought this would be a great one for me to do. It was a perfect fit with my teaching background.
Wow, so ASL is American Sign Language, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
I wonder, and so were you trained in it before? Had you trained, or were you self-taught, or how did it all come about that you
yeah,
you
when
really
I was in
started to use
teachers
it?
college, I took a sign language class, and I just fell in love with it, and I kept taking more. And one time my principal came up to me and asked me to help with the literacy program because the traditional methods weren't really working well. And I did research, and I came across a study that showed the use of sign language to teach kids how to spell. So using the letters, say, C, A, T. And of course, this is American Sign Language, which is completely different from
Yes.
the UK, from British Sign Language. But the concept is really the same, is that it's then a textual experience for them. They can feel it versus hearing it. For some students, they're just visual learners, so it really helps with that, or they're experiential learners, so it helps them feel the words. And it works really well. So when I was doing research on it, it just made me, of course, fall in love with the language even more. And I then went on and got my degree in ASL and Deaf Studies, and then which helped with my teaching background. But when I decided to start My Smart Hands, it was a perfect marriage because I already had the experience with ASL. I had the confidence of designing curriculum and teaching and all of that stuff, so it was perfect for my expertise.
And how difficult was it in the beginning whenever you first, I mean, what age was your daughter whenever you started?
I started signing with both my children when they were 4 months old. And my daughter started signing back at about 9.5 months, and my son was about 6 months when he started signing.
Wow, that's interesting. And what about starting it as a business? At what point did you start working from home?
I sort of started the planning phase while I was on my maternity leave. We get a year to be at home with our kids. And then I went back to teaching for a little while just in order to really be able to launch what I was going to do, because it took a lot of planning. And I think that a lot of people who start businesses realize that there's that planning phase before you sort of make that jump to, okay, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do this. It was about a year and a half in the planning phase, and then I finally I did a test class with just some friends of mine and other mummy friends, and just to get my feet wet and iron out all the wrinkles. Um, and even when I did start, I found that I still, I always laugh. I do lots of speaking now at conferences on entrepreneurship and business and branding. And I say, I didn't just all of a sudden become this hugely successful company. I actually, I wasn't making enough money. I had to go and get a babysitting job when I first launched my business, because I quit, and then I had all these classes set up and I didn't have anybody register for them. So I'm like out of money. And I thought, this is hysterical. Here I am with a master's degree in education and I'm babysitting.
Right.
But it was something that I had to do in order to continue my dream of staying at home with my daughter and launching this business. And I realized that things don't happen overnight.
No.
It takes them time to get them going. And if you have to pick up an odd job, then that's what you have to do. And I was quite happy to do it. And really, I only had to do it from October until December. And then by January, my classes were up and running, and I was sort of off to the races, as they say.
It's wonderful. I love hearing that, because it's one of the things I always preach about in the network, and it's something that I do video series on. And I say the two things that you've mentioned are, adequate planning. A work-at-home business is still a business, and it requires you to plan and research and know your target market and do all that. But also sometimes you need to pick your lowest hanging fruit. Like, how can I make money while this is in development stage? Because you're going to hemorrhage cash in the beginning whenever you're outlaying all of this money and there's nothing coming in. So you really need to either plan for that with a loan, or you need to substitute it with another job. So I love hearing those 2 points that you have brought up. And tell me, at what point did it then become a success? I mean, at what point did the momentum take off, or did you suddenly think, you know what, actually this is, like, I'm on my way now. I'm nearly there, or now this is a real business?
Well, my idea at first was to just teach some classes on my own until my daughter was in school, and then I was going to go back to teaching. I loved being a teacher, and I was quite happy in that career. And so that was my idea. I just needed enough money to be able to stay at home until she was in school, and then I could go back, and our schedules would mesh. And then I posted a video of my daughter to YouTube signing, because what I found was I had ran into a lot of people who heard of the idea of baby sign language but had never actually seen a baby signing. So when I was signing with my daughter, it had been around for several years, but it was still a fairly new concept in mainstream parenting. I mean, it was around, but there wasn't like a good history where people saw it everywhere.
Right.
So I took a video of her signing and I posted it on YouTube. And then people started emailing me and asking me if they could be an instructor in my program. And I thought, program?
What program?
I don't have a program. But then it made me realize that it was a great thing for me to do, because I had a program. I just had to sort of polish it in order to sell it as a company.
Yeah.
And so it was really having people contact me and say, I want to teach your program, that made me think, wow, I really need to make this bigger than what it is with just me teaching classes. And that would have been fine with just me teaching classes. But by doing that, I've now created this massive international brand, because I have people now, I have over 200 instructors worldwide that teach the My Smart Hands classes. So that helped in launching product, because it was already a well-known brand name. So It's very important to sort of create a brand, I felt, in order to be successful at selling products, which now we do.
Yeah, and it's amazing as well. I mean, we were discussing this before the interview started, but the power of getting someone emotionally involved with something. Like when I watched your video, the one you were talking about, I was really like, oh, like as a mother, I had like this, oh, that is so amazing. I just wanted to kiss her, and whenever you see it, because it's the same for me. I run my first company that I still run is a multilingual children's company, and my children speak 4 languages each fluently. And whenever people saw my daughter, who was 2 at the time, I think she wasn't even 2, she was like 21 months, like, speaking, interchanging between Spanish and Chinese and English, and they were like, oh my God, I want this for my children. But, whenever you tell people, until they see it and become emotionally involved, it can be hard to really understand what it is. So it's great that that you used the YouTube and you used that emotional involvement and that the power of video to really push your business forward in that way. Well, you didn't actually; you just posted the video, but that's how it happened. Would you attribute that video to a lot of your success then?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that video has had over 4 million views, just the one video.
Wow.
So I get contacted from people all the time, all over the world for opportunities. And then I saw that it was a valuable tool as a business to be able to post videos for free, so it was very cost effective for me. And I continue to do so. Now I have over 400 videos on my YouTube channel.
Wow, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm so inspired by you. It's great. So tell me, I have some questions here, so I may ask a couple of them. Describe a typical day. I mean, a typical day in Laura's world from kind of get up to go to sleep. How does it work for you?
For me, we get up, and I'm very fortunate because my husband also works from home. So it can be a good, bad thing. So he's around, but then we have to juggle our schedules of who's going to have their meeting or do their work, and my husband's a music producer, so sometimes he's in the studio and he's gone. So we get up together and we get the kids ready. So we have breakfast together, and my husband usually makes their lunch, and I get them dressed, and then we walk the kids to school. And then my husband and I go for coffee with our son and have some sort of family time, which is I absolutely love.
Lovely.
And come home, and then have a babysitter that comes in at 11, and that's when my day starts. Really, is at 11, and then I have her until 5, and so I try and work from 11 till 5, and it's really just working on projects, answering emails. A lot is new projects now, doing videos and stuff like that, and then I try and shut it down at 5, but when you work at home and you're an entrepreneur, there's no shutting it down.
No, I understand, but it's really good that you have that balance of family time. Your day actually sounds very like mine because my husband works from home too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's funny. But how important do you rate having a schedule then and a routine? Like you said that you have, a babysitter come in, and it's something that I again always say, if you're going to start a business from home, you need to really be kind of serious about finding, a scheduled work time every day with either a babysitter. I also have childcare at home. It's why I get to work in the way I do. And do you think that, would you attribute part of that to your success?
Yes, I think that, at first I tried to do it all and around nap times and all of that stuff, and I found that it was too overwhelming. So I actually don't have her full time. I have her 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 2 days my son's in preschool in the afternoon, and my husband's around. So we kind of try and juggle it and work it. My whole thing was I wanted to start this business to be around for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the main focus for me. And I'm very fortunate that I have people that help me out. So I have a personal assistant that does things for me. I have a regional director who doesn't work in office with me. She works at home, but she takes care of a lot of my instructor network. So I sort of delegated a lot of the work that had to be done to other people as well in order for me to still maintain that work-life balance, because when you start a business, it's overwhelming and there's a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's important to have help and make that as part of your business expenses. I needed to have somebody come in, and I didn't necessarily need it full time, so I found somebody who was available the 20 hours, and it works out perfectly for me.
That's great. Yeah, you get the best of both worlds. I know it's why I always say in my videos, like, this is my crappy little home office. It's like the converted larder, but it's perfect for me. It does the job. It means I get to go out if the kids need me or do whatever I need to do, but still work as much as I need to work. And I think that that's, for me anyway, it's part of something that's very important. And you seem to have the same setup. You have your home office, you have your work time, you have your family time. You're scheduled and you're planned with it, and I think it's wonderful. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I was going to ask, do you use a virtual assistant, but you kind of answered that. But do you have anybody virtually that you would delegate to that does your administrative tasks, or how do you manage the kind of more menial stuff?
Right. Well, I do have an assistant that comes in to do that type of stuff in my office. But I do have 2 people that are within my network of instructors who I trust, and I get them to do work for me virtually. So I didn't hire necessarily a virtual company, which I think is great, and I do know other entrepreneurs who use that. But they just do it, they have tasks. So it's not like I'm paying them an hourly wage. It's just they have tasks and they do it, and it just, for me, it's worked beautifully.
That's great. Wonderful. And how important do you feel that it is for work-at-home mums to have the support of other mums or work-at-home mums? I mean, do you have a support, or do you have any other friends who are work-at-home mums, or mums that you rely on, or how does that work for you?
It's imperative. You have to, because it's two things. I have friends who have traditional jobs, like I used to have, and they don't necessarily get it. They don't get how hard it can be.
Right.
It can be very isolating working from home. As great as it is, it's still, you don't have that water cooler chat, or, I used to pass colleagues in the hall and we'd have that 5-minute chat, which was absolutely wonderful. So I tell other women who are starting businesses that social media has been a really great thing for me. So Twitter, for example, has been my water cooler place, where if I'm having a moment where I'm stressed or I'm procrastinating or whatever, I might go on Twitter and just see who else is on and kind of have a little bit of a back and forth with them. It's also great to network. I find going to tweet ups is great, and going to conferences where other women are is great, because you get to network and meet people who understand what it is to be an entrepreneur and work from home. I also have two very good friends who are stay-at-home moms. One works part-time and one stays at home full-time, and that's just nice to have. Like, I find I can call them up. The other day I was so stressed out.
Right.
I was just, when 20 things go wrong in one day and you're like, I am so done. And it was 3 o'clock and I needed just a 5-minute chat. And I called my girlfriend. I said, when are you picking up your son? She says 3:30. I said, can I come over for half an hour? She said, done, come on over.
That's
so
great.
She had a tea ready for me, and I could just sit and sort of just unload.
Offload. Yeah, we women need that though, don't we? We kind of just sometimes and then we feel better when we've just said it all.
Yeah.
Like when
I
it's
just
on the
needed to get out too.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to just talk on the phone. I needed to get out, so I got out and I had a tea, and I just kind of went. And then I could go back and go, okay, I can deal with all these 20 things now, but I just needed a break. So having that connection where I could call her and say, it's 3 o'clock, and can I come over? And she's like, yeah, come on over, no problem.
No, that's
was
great.
valuable.
Yeah, it is really valuable. It's really important. It's something that I try to maintain in my relationships as well. And so, there's two more things I want to ask you just to finish up. I suppose the first one is, where is My Smart Hands going then? What are your plans for the company for the future?
World domination.
Why not? Why not?
I know. What? Seriously.
Can I tell you something?
I don't know.
Just as my personal, from my own personal view, I think that you almost have an obligation to bring My Smart Hands to the world for world domination, simply because the phenomenal effect, because it really is another language. You're giving children another language, another means of communication, and I think that how that shapes the brain, and I know from my own company what that does to the brain, and how that shapes the brain, and how that makes them much more of a communicator. I think that there's an obligation to bring that to the world, to help to raise a generation of children that are better at communicating, that are better at understanding, that have more empathy, more connection with human beings. I think that as moms, there's no greater gift we could give the world than giving that to our children, so that we can help to raise a better generation of society.
Yeah, I agree. I agree fully. No, but in all seriousness, I think that I'm gonna just continue on the path that I'm going. I really enjoy, connecting with people through YouTube by posting videos, and you would not believe the emails I get from people that they say it's been a life-changing experience because they never even knew this existed. For example, I had this one mother, and this is early on in my business, and I said to my husband, I don't care what else happens in my business, this is enough. And a mom emailed me and she said she had a son, or has a son, who's autistic. He was 2.5, nonverbal at the time, and life was becoming very frustrating for them. She just didn't know what he wanted. He wouldn't communicate, couldn't communicate. Somebody had suggested signing. So she researched it, and she came up with our video on YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold.
Fine.
And he heard me and my daughter, and he came over and he sat down and he watched the video over and over for 45 minutes. And at the end of the 45 minutes, he turned to his mom and he started signing. And she said it was the first form of communication she'd ever had with her child. And she just wanted to thank me for taking the time to share my family and post these videos.
Oh.
Let me tell you, I sat at my computer and I bawled. I was crying.
You're making me cry even thinking about it.
I had no idea that. I know, it's amazing. I had this other mom whose daughter lost her hearing to meningitis when she was 4, and she was embarrassed to sign, and she was becoming really frustrated. And then one day she saw one of my daughter's videos on YouTube, and my daughter was signing, and she was the same age, and she thought it was cool, and it gave her the confidence to then sign, and she brought my daughter's videos into class, and all the kids learned from her. So it's these stories that they get from parents that, which is why I do what I do.
Yeah, they make it all worthwhile.
It's why I post videos for free on YouTube, because people say, "Oh, you could charge, you could charge, you could," I don't want to charge for this portion of my business because it allows me to connect with people on such a meaningful level that I'm so completely satisfied in my life because of that, because I know that the work I'm doing is making a difference in the world and it's impacting people in a positive way, and I just want to continue that. And so if I can just continue doing what I'm doing, I'm happy.
That's so beautiful, and that's really what it's all about. One of our mottos, if you like, in the Work at Home Moms Network is, helping moms to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. And I always say wealthy doesn't necessarily mean money. Wealthy is, like I'm the same. I feel so rich, like just what you're saying, so rich and so abundant in your life, and that you're making a difference, and that you feel satisfied in every way, which goes far beyond money. Research has shown that moms very rarely start businesses. Women rarely start businesses for the money. They start because they want to make people's lives better, and they see something that can make a difference. And you're a shining example of that. And you really should be so proud of yourself. I mean, what you've built and what you've achieved is from home. It's aspirational, and there's a lot of moms out there. A lot of our members are watching this, and they're probably, they're inspired by you, which is why we do these interviews, so that you can see, you can make it work, and it will take persistence, and it will take hard work and dedication, but it is possible, and you can do it. And don't be scared, get out there and try. What would be your advice for a work-at-home mom who's thinking of starting a business, or has just started one and is at that peaking point where she's ready to take it to the next level? What would you advise?
So really the things that I love to tell people is, if you look at me and what I've created, I have zero business background. Never taken a business class in my life. I come from an education background. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And my sort of motto that I live by is, if you do nothing, nothing happens.
Right.
So if you just sit back and wait for opportunities to come, they're not going to necessarily come. You need to do things in order for those opportunities to present themselves. So you have to make sure to take action. And the other thing that I encourage people to do is to say yes to more opportunities. I think sometimes people are too afraid to make this step or to say yes because they don't know, or they overanalyze, oh, well, this could happen or this could happen. Really, if you say yes and something bad happens, and I've had it happen, trust me, I've had bad things happen, they're all learning experiences. Even the negative, even if bad things happen, you still learn, and you can apply those bad things to your life and your experience. So just take chances. If you have this business idea and you want to do it, do it. Do it. Make it happen.
Right. And that's so true. And one thing I always say to people is, if you're scared of failing, well, by not trying, you're failing anyway. So you're already doing the thing that you're scared of, so you've actually nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Laura, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. And we ran slightly over, so I apologize if I ran into your time. I know that your husband has the kids, and you had to kind of squeeze me in between everything else that you had going on. But honestly, this interview has been amazing, and we really wish you success with your business in the future. And I know I said to you in the past that I would love to invite you at some point, you know, to come into the discussion boards and have a look at the conversations that are going on in the network with the moms. And if you see something that you think you could give advice on, please do jump in. They would love to hear from you. But we really hope to see you around the network and to have you as a part of the community. And thank you so much for your time today. It really has been so special what you've shared with us, and all of the advice that you've given has been invaluable, really.
Well, thanks. Thank you for having me. It's been fun, actually.
You're very welcome. So this is Kim Constable signing off with Laura Berg from My Smart Hands, and I really hope that you will go to YouTube and look up Laura's YouTube channel, which is My Smart Hands. Laura?
Yes, they can just, if you Google baby sign language.
Baby sign language. She comes up on the first page. That's what we want, and that's the part. Google has that power to do that. Not Google, YouTube, sorry. Yeah, so please do look up mysmarthands.com, look up Laura's channel on YouTube, and we hope to see Laura around the network at some point in the future. Thank you, Laura, and we will catch up with you very soon.
Great.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.